And welcome back, guys, to BlitzWizard94. Today we're going to be reviewing a tournament I played on the 20th of April, hosted by the Bobby Fischer Chess Club. It was a 25-minute event, 25 minutes with 5-second increment. Pretty decent time control. It counted for classical and rapid ratings by USCF, so I just found this to be a pretty good opportunity. And I ended up winning first place in the tournament, so I had a pretty decent ride. It wasn't kind of like Swift, but I did have a really nice tournament. I had some really nice games. I just wanted to review them really quickly. And as a heads up, as a matter of fact, I was just kind of just frustrated with OBS because I cannot seem to somehow connect my earbuds. At first, my earbuds were connected to OBS, but now they're not connecting. I don't know why. And ever since then, I've just been trying to figure out how to apply the microphone correctly, but it just wouldn't work. So as a matter of fact, I had to turn off my fan, so I'm like sweating, and I have this huge lamp in front of my face to make the lighting a bit better. But you gotta do what you gotta do to make the videos more, I guess, watchable. So yeah, as you can see, my hair is also a bit messy. It's like 11:30 right now, and I'm just trying to record this video. So let's just get into it. Alright, so first round, I was playing the dad of a Venezuelan family. They're really good players. The strongest player is, I believe, a 14-year-old, I'm unsure, named Santiago. He's like 2100, peak 2100. And I am, not I, the second best is 2000. And then the dad is like the third best, but he plays really well. He was 1800. And we enter a line that went e4. C6, D4, D5, E5, and A6. I played the black side of this, and in that game, let me just remove all these annotations. Remove all these annotations. There we go. I really need to remove all of this clear analysis. Okay, there. Yeah, just clear all analysis. Okay, there we go. So D5 and A6. I played this A6 move as a way of kind of, I don't want to say preparing. It's mostly just to get out of theory, and it's a very innovative move. I got inspiration to play this by a international master from, I believe, New Jersey. His name is Maximilian Liu. He was a chess prodigy back in the day, and he's kind of still is. He's kind of grinding for the Grandmaster title, and he played this against Jose Casares, who is the second son of the Venezuelan family, and he's 2000. He lost that game on the white end, so this kind of influenced me to play this against him. And this is the second time I played it against him, but besides that, we're looking at the dad because this is the first round. And we're going to look at the game I played against him, kind of in a little bit. I don't really remember the game fully, I'll try. But basically I played a6, he played bishop d3, c5, d takes c5, queen g7. I'm trying to regain one of the two pawns. We get knight f3, bishop g4, castles, knight c6. I believe he played, what did he do here? I believe bishop f4, e6, knight d2, bishop takes e5, knight b3, bishop h7, h3, bishop h5, rook e1, and after knight e7. It was a pretty tough game. I eventually got into an endgame where I played against the structure, and there were some really nice attacks. We traded off the rooks, but the knight endgame favored me a bit, and in the end, after a time scramble, I managed to somehow liquidate it. But going back into my second round, which was right. Let me just go back. After I won against his father, Jose Casares' father, I was paired against an 1800 on the white end. I played b3, he played e5, bishop b2, knight c6, e3, d5, bishop b5, and he blundered with knight f6, which gave me a free pawn. Bishop takes e5, taking advantage of the pin. as you can't really take. The king will be in check. And I went on to liquidate this game and pretty much won easily. Now, onto the real analysis, which is the game that I did play against Jose Casares. After beating his dad in the same line, Jose eventually did the same thing. The family always goes through the same lines against me, so I felt a little bit happy to see it. C6, D4, D5, and E5. Again, testing my theory where not A6 is actually practical. But here we go again. We get bishop D3, C5. White takes the pawn in C5, queen C7, and we're entering again the same line I've played since round 1. Nf3, bishop G4 pinning, castles, knight C6, bishop F4, and here I gotta be a little bit worried, because he does have some potential to play E6 and do discovering my queen. But luckily the bishop is not protected by anything, so if he were to play E6, let's say a random move here like rook D8, E6, the bishop would just be hanging and we can just take it. There's nothing to gain from it. So E6 would just be a blunder. It would have to be defended by G3 or something like that. But in the game, again, he played bishop F4. I decided to go E6, again, simply consolidating my structure, not allowing him to get any future discoveries against the queen. And now I'm preparing to capture the pawn C5 with the bishop on F8. And here he decides to go all crazy with C4. I take on C4, bishop takes C4, and now rook D8. And I'm attacking the queen here, and what I notice, at the moment, I thought that he just pretty much blundered, because after the queen goes anywhere, let's say queen A4, just bishop takes and pawn takes, and already white has a really damaged structure, and this is practically advantage for black, because I mean, once you regain the pawn, you got B5 as a threat, knight E7, and castles, and all black has is an easy plan. Like, white just looks pretty much uncomfortable, and black is pretty much preferable in this position. But white has knight D2 here, and if bishop takes, just queen takes, because the bishop on F4 is actually defending the knight on D2, so white is practically fine here, and even has some advantage to gain. But in the game, again, Jose was a little bit flustered, and he thought that he already blundered, so he played queen 2. And I didn't notice this. I did not see knight 2. I was looking at queen 2 and was like, yes, alright, I know I'm winning. Knight D4 to the face, attacking the queen and the knight. If you take the knight, then bishop takes queen, and knight takes bishop. I'm up a queen. This should be an easy win at the end of the day. So instead, he tries to go queen E4, and here I find the kill shot, bishop F5. Knockout punch. Point being, the queen only has 2 squares, E3 or E1. If you go queen E1, again, knight C2, forks the queen, the rook. The queen moves, knight takes rook, I'm up a rook. If he goes queen E3, again, knight C2, and he, again, loses the rook. I wasn't sure if he played queen E3, but then I remember, yeah, he did play queen E3, and then knight C2 I played, and he resigned afterwards. He fought for like 30 seconds and just resigned. This game ended in 13 moves. It was just quite a victory for me. I had a really nice win. So nothing to feel bad about. Really nice win by me. I really had a good, just a good play. I took advantage of it, and I got a pretty nice miniature. So yeah. Next game, we're gonna go to the youngest member in the family. So pretty much, I played in the first round. I beat him. Second round, I played an 1800. Third round, I played the older brother, who's a 2000, and now I'm playing the younger, which is was like the better brother. He is 2100. He is younger, and he's 2100. Let's see this game. So again, I got the black pieces. E4, C6, D4, D5, and after E5, you know what's gonna happen. A6 again. We get bishop E3. Let me just clear the analysis, because I do not want to spoil it for you guys. It won't let me. Shoot. I don't know why it's not letting me, but okay, yeah. Yeah, it won't let me the remove the analysis, but okay. Actually, wait, what? Okay, yeah, now it does. Now it does. Okay, yeah. Okay, I got it. Ah, sorry, I spoiled the ending. But yeah, E4, C sits, D4, D5, E5, A sits. Why are there still symbols? Holy hell. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm just super sweaty right now. And I'm losing my mind. So yeah. Um, bro, I don't want the feedback. Okay, yeah, so yeah, bishop d3, c5, d takes c5, queen c7, knight f3, bishop g4, and now Santiago decides to mix it up with knight d2. He switches up the line. We get knight c6, h3, bishop takes, knight takes, and e sits. And I'm aiming to just simply reclaim back the pawn. We get bishop e3, knight takes c5, knight takes, queen takes, and castles. And at this point, white has some type of advantage because he can eventually go for b4 and a4. And black has no pieces developed. White already has 2 pieces developed and is already castled. And he's first choice because he's also coming in with the f4, f5 break. Once the bishop is defended, let's say queen d2, f4, f5 is going to come really fast. So in this case, I go rook d8 with the idea, let's say he makes a random move, queen d2. I'm not able to do d4. After bishop f4, just queen takes f4, and I'm up a pawn here. Now, it's not really simple because already white also has some counterplay, b4, a4, b5, and the bishop pair is really significant here. But I feel, again, a pawn is a pawn. In the game, after rook d8, he decides to go c3, not allowing me to control or push d4 myself. I play queen c7, knowing the queen has no future, and that's eventually going to have to be kicked out by f4. And here he defends the pawn on c5 with b4, and I go knight f6. We get rook e1, bishop e7, and bishop d4. Now, it's worth knowing that after rook e1, he actually missed a really huge move here. He could have done, after knight f6, queen to a4, and this move would have been super strong, because if he goes knight e7, c6 wins. Oh, sorry, not c6. What wins here? I forgot. Yeah, it is. Is it b5? No, bishop d4. Yeah. After queen a4, you got bishop d4, and simply black's pieces are all tangled up here. Best move is simply bishop e7, bishop takes e7, and rook g8, rook g1. The bishop simply goes back, and white is for choice here, because all black pieces are just tangled up. I do have many like garbage moves to play, like queen f4, and just try to find some counterplay, but this is pretty much hopeless. I mean, the queen's eventually going to come back here, and white's simply going to be able to defend. And then all he has to do is just march the pawns down the board and just win the game. He will convert really easily. Or at the very least, he should be able to liquidate the pieces and go into a favorable endgame, especially with the bishop pair. So that was a huge miss, but again, seeing queen e4, and then the idea that after bishop d4, black simply is in a desperation mode, is kind of unnatural. It's more like a computer. So he just basically blitzed out rook e1. We get bishop e7, bishop d4, castles, queen e2, knight e7, and now g3. Now, when he played g3, I was a little bit confused. I didn't really get the point of it. Sensing it was king g2 and rook h1. All I knew was this gave me the opportunity to go bishop f6 and trade off the dark sword bishop, which is really strong. So bishop takes, knight takes, and now a4. And after a4, I'm for choice because I find the simple move d4. And I'm aiming to break apart this structure, and if I break it apart, I'm easily win the game. So d4, we get c4, again trying to maintain the structure, but here comes the important move, a5, we get queen b2, and now a takes, queen takes, and knight e7. As you can see, my knight and my queen are both attacking the c5 pawn. After a little bit of a think, he decides to go c6, but give up the pawn on his terms, and now he's trying to play with the passed pawn. And this is his only try to keep the game going. So c takes, c5, and knight e5. And after bishop to e4, I find the important move f5. And he goes bishop g2. And I do play knight e3. And he does go queen b6. And at this point, the engine is really just screaming at me. Queen takes, pawn takes, knight takes. Beep, boop, bop, beep, bop, c5. This is not really scary. even though to me it looks pretty scary. Like according to the engine will laugh at you and say you're a complete idiot for not taking the exchange and simply going to this favorable rook endgame with the pawns. But it looks really scary. I really didn't not trust myself with this endgame, so I went queen e7 instead, and I went after the c5 pawn. He decided to attack me with rook e1. I just took the pawn. We get queen takes, rook c8, queen b5, rook d8, and then rook c1. We get a few couple natural moves, queen d6, simply waiting, a5, king f7, and now a6 comes, and this is the point where Santiago completely goes downhill. Again, knight takes a6, queen b7, and no, queen b7 not first. He did rook takes, then queen b7. And initially he thought he was just winning a piece, but what he misses is that after rook c7, my queen is defending the rook, my queen is defending the knight, and if he does rook takes d4, then simply queen takes d4. And the knight is defending the rook. If queen takes a6, I mean, you're just simply winning. You're up a rook, you're going to win this easily. So Santiago simply overlooked that the rook and the queen are simply aligned, are defending everything. There's no threats. And because of this, after rook c7, sorry. Messed up there. Okay, sorry. Bishop f6, a4, da 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 da. After this move, he goes queen b5. I go knight c5, simply putting my knight on a good square. Goes bishop f3, knight d7, and now knight is eventually gonna go e5. He goes bishop e2. I go g6, consolidating, and I'm basically asking white, how are you gonna infiltrate this king? This king is really protected. I'm gonna go knight e5, rook e8, and simply push this pawn out of the way. So he goes f4, now allowing me to get the e5 square, but I still push e5. He goes g4, and at this point I use my intuition and realize, you know what, e4, who cares? I'm gonna give you back this pawn. G takes, d3, who cares? I'm still gonna be pushing. He takes, I take back, and after bishop g4, I go queen d4 check, really important move. I push the king aside and then go knight f6. It's all lights off for Santiago. He decides to go f5. Last amount counterplay. I took back. He took back. After queen d5, which is a really important move, he tries bishop h5. Again, a little bit of a spite check. Simply trying to give a little bit of a, not scare, but a little bit of a hope for some tactics. So I go king e7. And it simply just falls into my cards. Like, he has no moves. He's running out of moves. He doesn't have any moves. He's simply forced straight off the queens. Because if he moves the queen somewhere else, again, just queen takes. The knight's defending the queen. So there's... Oh, sorry. Not queen takes, sorry. If he does queen f4, maybe not in this position. Not queen f4. If he does queen f4, I was simply planning to go first, I think just rook c7 and simply just play along the top d4 and queen g2 checkmate, which is really nice of a threat. But what I meant to say was that if we play something like queen g6, I have queen takes h5, and again the knight is defending the queen, so he can't really move the queen anywhere else. He would just have to trade queens. Again, so he's forced. Queen takes, knight takes, and he made the final blunder, which pretty much ended his chances of winning the game, or at least holding. He played a bishop g6, which allowed a knight d3, and if the rook moves anywhere, let's say rook a1, then simply d2. If bishop h5, just rook c1 check, and that is game over. Yeah, in the game, if you play also something like this, again, just d2, you can't take the knight, I just queen. So after knight 3, he decides to go rook d2, as e5 was the only move to defend. I played rook c1, we get... Well, actually, he doesn't move anymore, he just resigns. This is basically where he resigns, and I win this really important game. And because I win this game, I am pretty much guaranteed first place with a draw. What does this mean? So, yeah, all I need is a draw. And as you guessed it, last round I was coincidentally paired up against a friend, and we decide to do the Berlin draw. We get e4, e5, knight f3, knight g6, bishop b5, knight f6, castles, knight takes e4, d4, knight d6, d takes e5, knight takes a4. This is all theory. The knight eventually, it looks like it's hanging, it's not hanging, it just is traded easily, and eventually you're forced to give it back up. So knight d4, knight takes d4, knight takes, queen takes, and simply d5 or d6. You get en passant, queen takes, queen check, queen there. And after a little bit of chit 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 chapter chippy 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 chippy, let me swing, swing, we get repetition and it is a draw. 15 moves and we basically repeat. It is a draw by 3-4 repetition, and one of the most famous draws there is in the Grandmaster world. I mean, this is simply played the elite stage. Nakamura has played this a ton of times. Carlson has played this a ton of times. The computer on chess.com says it was played at 100% accuracy, which I find funny, but again, that was the end of the last round. And after I played this draw, I pretty much guaranteed my first place. And for my friend, I also pretty much guaranteed his second place, because since he drew this game, he won second place by half a point. So I guaranteed him getting second, and I guaranteed myself first place, which was pretty coincidental, at least to my opinion. And yeah, against Jose, he thought he was gonna get like some opening advantage, and I went, no way, Jose, hold on there, buddy. And I pretty much stomped him with a6 in a miniature, which was really fun. Against Santiago, it was a bit of an opening miss from him. He missed queen a4. I can't really blame him. And then after that, he allowed me to trade the bishops. He had some chances with the pawn advantage on the queen side, but he missed to capitalize with some b5. Well, not really b5, but just try to expand as quick as he should have. And after he played g3, which is a bit of a slow move, he just allowed me to get back into the game. And after a5, it pretty much went downhill for him, I would say. And lastly, against Adele, who is my friend, we just decided to draw. So that was pretty much it. I win four swift, clean games. Pretty nice. Maybe not the fourth game, but after a while, I was just kind of waiting, and then I just got my advantage. I was just never letting go of it. I just took my opportunity and never let go. So yeah, good tournament. And because of this tournament, I also gained 20 points. So I'm now 2143 USCF, meaning that I am now 57 points away, which is not that far away. Well, no, it's still pretty far comparatively, but I am getting near to the M title. So I'm hoping I'm able to become a national master at least by June, and who knows, we might get there. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and peace, guys. Bye.